Welcome everyone to this week's WorthWhile Spotlight. Before we get started today, I want to give a huge shout out to Visit Columbia, our amazing sponsor for making this come to life and shining light on the city. If you want to learn anything about the city, anything that's happening event-wise, local artists, local businesses, check out their website at visitcolumbiatn.com, and we'll dive into it. Dre,
what's up,
thanks
man?
for coming in.
Yeah,
thanks for being on this podcast.
Thanks for having me on. I'm pumped.
Excited. So I just want to dive into the first thing. I know you just had a baby. Baby Goon.
Baby boy. Sonny, he was born 8 days ago.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Like my wife and I have been married for about 5 years and 6 years. And we've learned a lot about each other. And I think having a baby, like a little bit later than most, I think it's helped us and helped our relationship kind of grow into what it is now.
Get that foundation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She owns her own business. She does interior design. And I always was working with small businesses. So there needed to be a lot of flexibility in our schedules because, when you're working for a small business, you're working all the time. And I think it helped us, on that hustle of growing something small. And then now we're like, cool, we're growing something small now. Yeah. And it's just fun to tag team and just coordinate schedules and map out the day. So
make it happen together.
Yeah. So I think all that ties into our, those past 5-6 years of us being together. Actually married, we've been together for 8 years.
Got you.
Yeah.
No, so we just give a little description, I guess. I just went straight into saying Baby Goon, but
yeah.
So Goon is a streetwear store here in Columbia.
Yeah.
Tie that back. I know the name for the baby's been Baby Goon. That's all I've seen on social media. I feel like that's kind of been an adopted name. It's gonna kind of just happen. But yeah, talk about Goon a little bit. I mean, where are you located? Where can you be found and stuff like that?
Yeah. So Goon is a contemporary retail store boutique located here, just outside the Arts District. I think it's adopted now. I think I am adopted. From what I'm gathering, people are saying I'm within the Arts District. So on the corner of South High and Highland, a really rad standalone corner building. We're in there, and yeah, I have my own brand, Goon, and I want to kind of essentially take over the basics collection. And I'm a very minimal person. I like minimal branding, minimal design. And I've always wanted to have a brand that could just stand as a basics line. If you need a basic vintage style t-shirt, we got you. If you need, pants, we got you. If you need, socks or something like that with minimal branding, but also just captures essentially whatever's in your closet, socks, t-shirts,
the everyday, hoodie, your everyday wearable stuff.
Exactly. Because dude, every day, whenever you see me, either at the shop or at home, I'm usually wearing denim, a t-shirt, and Vans. That's
the classic.
It's classic, but that's just what I've always worn.
Yeah.
I do like, some other pieces, and obviously now that I'm a store owner, I purchase other items, but it's good to have a standalone, always consistent brand that you can go to for, a shop that says, hey, I just need a simple XYZ. We got it for you. So that's why, that's kind of the brand of Goon. And then the store, I just have other brands associated around it. So just to better give it better just understanding of what Goon is, and it tells a story of essentially the whole store. Mid-tier quality items and fabrics, and it just really brings it's a, I don't know how to explain it. It's like a mid-tier boutique experience, and what you're buying is the fabric, the story, and it's a less is more kind of a garment, whatever that's in there, whatever you purchase. Yeah.
What's the tie-in with? I know you've mentioned it, but Go On. Obviously, it's it's not acronyms when you have letters of the title, but
it's essentially so just to back up, my wife and I moved here a year ago, actually this month, and we have come and we've visited before. She actually has family that lives nearby, and we looked at ourselves and said, hey, this is a really cool, sweet town. The state's rad. What would it look like for us to move out here? And then one thing led to another, and we actually came out here the following year. that next year rather, and yeah, just planted down our roots. And I was working, for other brands, just doing stuff remote, and I was happy doing that. It was fine, and yeah, we were loving life. What happened now was I would go to Colombia, I would hang out, and I would never find a place where you could find cool, good clothing at like a really awesome with a really awesome experience attached to it. We have stores here and they're awesome.
Yeah.
But for me, I was needing that experience of like, I can come in, I can have a beer, I can have some whiskey, I could just hang out with whoever's running the shop.
The experience aspect.
Exactly.
Like, hang out, there's the connection. You get to know the guy that's running the shop. Like, I mean, I know you mentioned when we spoke the first time, like you're a big fan of the shops back in Cali, right? And like you spent time with, and it's like that's where you go to hang out. That's where your group is, like, and that's what you want to provide.
Right. Sense. Yeah, because back in California, I was doing that for about 7 years, running shops, doing everything under the sun when it comes to small business, and I enjoyed it, and coming out here, I was doing remote work. I was fine. I didn't really have a need or desire to open up a shop. That wasn't even on my radar. And just the more time you spend here, the more time you realize if there's something that you need that you can't, there's a void that you can't fill, you just have to fill it yourself.
Manifest it. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's kind of where I just came together and said, hey, okay, I'll do this. I know how to do it and I can do it well. And I opened Goon. And essentially, the name was really hard to come by because I had a list, bro. I had an ongoing list of random names, funny names, weird names. But
what was number 2?
I mean, I can pull up the list. There was a ton. Like, I don't even know. There's quite a lot. But Late Bloomer was one of them.
Like that.
And I'm not sure. I didn't really dive too deep in that. But Late Bloomer was a really like a close second. But I wanted a name that could bring more meaning behind it, not just like a random name that I like. But what's funny was I found Goon and I said, hey, that's a really fun name. I love Goon because it's, a very cryptic, very multiple meaning word. And you could take it and you could, it could be destroyer, it could mean like silly person, whatever you want it to be. But I was settling on that name, and it wasn't until after I was actually doing more paperwork and I was typing Goon and I separated the O, 2 O's, and I was like, clicked. Go on. That's pretty insane because I've always had to encourage myself with everything that I've done. And it's just in any season in life, I feel like you need, I need encouragement for anything, because you could definitely be down on yourself and be in a place where you don't want to. And it could just either, you could continue thinking or just having those bad voices in your head, or you can just decide to silence them and then just go on. Just encourage yourself to move forward. And that's where I think I said, hey, this is awesome. Like, I actually fell on it on accident, and I just said, this is rad. The meaning, I think, for me is I just want it to be Goon, but if someone asks, like, we're asking now, and I'm happy to give that explanation. But for other people who just want a basic t-shirt or who just like the brand.
Ties back to like the minimalistic, like you said, that there doesn't necessarily have to be that go on aspect to it. Like,
right.
It's Goon.
Right. So for some person, they could just, Goon's a super cool name. I like it. All right, rad. I'll buy some stuff. For someone else, it's like, oh, this is Goon. It's located in Colombia, and they showcase Colombia, because one of the big things that I want to do is put my flag down here, but also like showcase Colombia and make someone who buys either in store or online, they can buy a t-shirt, but they're essentially buying Colombia. Yeah. Because I'm doing my best to showcase, like, as all these other businesses are, showcasing Colombia in a way that's, it's like, you should probably come here. This is a really cool place to see and visit and like catch a vibe. Buy something from Goon, buy anything associated with Goon. I want it to be a reflection of what Colombia is. Yeah. So.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
What was like the thing with, like, when you found Colombia? Obviously you said family was here, but like, was there a moment like while you were here that you were like, man, this is a cool spot? Specific interaction or anything like that?
I mean, I'm from San Diego, born and raised, and I've never ever thought about moving out or going out of California because, dude, you have the sun, you have surf, skate. It's like the best for me. But I'm not essentially married or tied to a specific activity. I could definitely go up and move and do something like random.
Yeah.
That's with my profession, that's with like hobbies, anything like that. But we were looking at buying a house in California, and we just came here, and it started with the conversation and what we wanted to do with our family. And we quickly realized, hey, we could definitely have a better life out here. And specifically in Colombia, I just love the square. I love just the small town vibe. Like everyone says hi to you.
Yeah.
It's a very, it's a slower pace, but it's awesome. And I love everyone that I've met, like you guys and other local business owners. They're very approachable, and they're not, hard to reach. I actually really like that. And yeah, it's
like an open door kind of vibe. For the whole city.
Yeah, like I went to the Greek spot down the street here, Pita Plus, Gyros. Shout out, the lamb.
Yeah,
is
they're
legit.
Phenomenal.
I went there twice, and that second time, the girl's like, "Oh, like,
she remembered.
Good to see you. Where are you from?" I'm like, "Oh, you recognize me," and it's just so funny because it's a small town, and it's something I wasn't used to, but I love it. And I think.
What's your go-to when you go there?
Oh man, just the Philly steak one with the cheese and like the sour cream and the lamb. That's pretty good, and they got good pita.
I'm a number 13 every time.
Oh really?
The Euro sandwich, rice, extra tzatziki sauce.
The fries are fire.
I've had their fries too.
Yeah.
Shout out Pita Plus. Check them out.
Seriously, definitely.
What were you saying? No. Okay.
But yeah, just like all those experiences combined, it gave me like just like a really fun experience. And for me, it's like I want to build something here. I want to like stay and come and be a part of what's happening in Colombia. And from what I've heard, Colombia is definitely, there's a lot of things happening and a lot of things still happening.
It is wild. Being here like 18 years, like just watching it unfold. And like we talked about this when I first went in the shop that one day. It's just, there's nothing like what you're doing streetwear wise, like in Colombia. There's maybe one in Franklin and one in Nashville, but even that, like, there's nothing here. And to have that here, it just adds another dynamic and another experience and another avenue for people to express themselves.
Yeah, and that was really important for me. The last thing I wanted to do in a small town was build something on top of another block. And like there's awesome places to buy apparel here in Colombia, but for me, I made sure I wanted to do something different enough to where, it was new to Colombia and people were, would be taken back by it, but also welcoming of it. So I Goon opened, and I'll walk around the square, I'll hang out at Muletown, Wolf and Scout, and people will come next to me or come up to me and say, "Hey, this is Goon, right?" And I say, "Yeah." They're like, "Yeah, this is awesome. Like, I haven't been to the store, but I love what you're doing. It's really cool. Keep it up." So that for me is very reassuring and encourages me to keep going because it is new to Colombia. Yeah. And I'm not expecting it to be something insane or awesome or, coming out the gate. It's something I'm building, and I'm very passionate about it. And on top of all that, it's a good stuff. It's a good brand. It's a good boutique. But I also want to bring in the community and host events. If someone is a producer out here that lives low key, has done like awesome things, I want him to speak, and I want him to show up at Goon, and we can have 15, 20 people show up. He can present, and then Q&A after. Even whiskey tastings from somewhere. But I definitely want to integrate the community more, and also want to go heavy on blogs and just showcase the cool towns the cool businesses that are in Colombia and the ones who've been doing it for much longer than I have. So I think just showcasing this is Colombia, and I want to bring back all the love to Colombia by showcasing it and having it be shown into social media, my website. That would be the bigger thing, because it ends up being something bigger than just a retail store, and it's more of a story that I'm telling to the person who's watching, my friends who live in California who are like following
they're
along.
watching that journey. I mean, they've seen you leave and then go, and it's like plant that seed and then start, and then it's got to be wild from your friend's perspective. And just community there. I'm sure you built a community of people there.
Yeah, it would have been a lot harder to establish something out there just because there's so much, so many awesome stores and places to buy clothing.
What's your, when you were around all the shops and stuff out there, what was your favorite?
I'm like partial to my own work history. So Lone Flag was they're the ones who introduced like raw denim to me. And it's essentially like raw denim is like an untouched, untreated fabric that you just wear over time. And then you start to develop your own fades, your own amount of like stretches, and it ends up being like a washed pair, but it's just your own.
It,
something
it
that
gets
you've
that
made.
way over time.
Yeah, and it's
I
a
didn't know
less
that.
it's a less is more thinking process when you're buying something like this. But for me, that was everything. And then I think from there, I grew into like learning more about fabrics, Japanese, Portugal, like Italian fabrics, and seeing how that could be tied into your favorite style T-shirt, but it's going to last you a lot longer than, say, something you would pick up somewhere else. And I think for me, you bring the story of that fabric, of that brand, and then it's like the fabric and the piece is the last standing, is like the conclusion of that.
It's like the puzzle that was put together.
Yeah, so Lone Flag, that was probably one of my favorite places to shop at. I did work there, so I'm pretty biased, but they had a great selection, and a lot of my influence comes from my work history and just me coming from California. Like I eventually want to have Vans out there and for Goon, but also be mindful of what the style of Columbia is, because I love it and I want to embed as much as I can into like Goon. So yeah, it's an ongoing process when I'm designing and when I'm figuring out what to bring in the shop as we keep growing.
Nice. Taking it back to like childhood time frames, did you always kind of just be around that scene, or was it kind of as you got older? Like, I mean, what'd you get into like when you were a kid?
Yeah, it's really as I got older. I wasn't really into apparel or clothing at all. I never really cared for it. It wasn't until my buddy, who actually offered me a job working with him, and I knew nothing about clothing or about premium clothing. And the only experience I had with him, we were just really good buddies, and he really liked my presence and I liked his, and he needed another guy to help him run his shop. And he reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to come on board. I'm like, cool clothes? Yeah, let's do it. I'm totally down. And at the time, I was doing work with special needs kids,
Nice.
students at schools, and I would essentially sub around a school district and kind of go from elementary to high school and just be around these kids, which I loved. It was awesome. It paid really well, and I was very comfortable.
How old were you at this time frame?
I was like 24,
Gotcha.
25. And then my buddy Kang, shout out Kang, he reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do this. And I said, yeah. And I said, let's do it. And then ever since then, I was kind of looking and researching and just kind of like, immersing myself in this new world. And I fell in love. Like I fell in love because, you buy clothing, but
There's so many different expressive avenues through it.
Yeah, and with this kind of style of clothing, you buy an experience along with like the quality and the fabric and the storytelling, and that's what caught my eye. Because, like I said, I'm not too much of I'm a very minimal person. I don't wear a lot of logo stuff or crazy graphics. I'll wear one, some occasionally, but I just enjoy the simplicity of a good fitting garment and just wearing it till like the last strand is on my body,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You can see you in a couple of years. Just got a couple. There's a
Yeah,
couple
I'm literally
straight.
wearing this for 5 years, and then if you have me on again, I'll probably be wearing the same thing.
We didn't make it a point to make that happen though.
Yeah.
Like, this is quality check. We're like, no.
The wash is there; it'll probably be washed. So
Yeah, that'll just add more character to it.
yeah,
So this is one thing I want to start asking people that are on the podcast, just because like just kind of gets into like I guess different thoughts and like past. But if you can go back and tell your younger self, what time frame would you talk to yourself at, and what would you say to yourself? Something either that would change your perspective, or what I mean, anything. What would you tell yourself if you
Yeah.
could go back, and what time frame? Like,
I think I'd definitely go back in my early 20s, just to tell myself, hey man, just you're going on the right track, you're on the right pace. In my 20s, I've always wanted to accelerate my time and like where I was going in every season. And I've always wanted to be the guy who was already married, who had, the kid, who had the house, but I was in my 20s. And I thought about that a lot. And I think that really, it didn't give me the joy I needed in those seasons of me just being young and like, I don't know, still living with my parents, just having a car payment and that's it.
Yeah.
So I think I definitely tell myself, dude, just chill out,
Have fun.
have fun. Life is happening exactly where it needs to happen. And especially now, like for me, going back, all the stuff that I've done with small businesses, you learn, I think we talked about this just before we went on. All the things you learn is, for me, was an accumulation of Goon. That's kind of how Goon came out. If I didn't know anything about fabrics, clothing, ordering from other brands, like I would not have opened Goon. I probably would still be here, but I'd probably be doing something else, so there's nothing wrong with that. But when you look at the past, it's, there's things happen for a reason, it's as simple as that. And you could look at it like, oh, I was essentially going to school for Goon. I was working, I was doing all these, wearing all these hats.
The experience, yeah.
Exactly. And I think all that has been really encouraging for me to see. And it's almost like a full circle, when I come back to it, because now I'm 32, and that's why kind of like late bloomer was a strong second, because I feel like I started really late. But no, I feel really confident, and especially now that, hey, this is all essentially a full circle moment for me, and now I have more calm and peace, and just
yourself too.
I know myself. Like, and I know myself, and it's like cool. Like now, if I get into something else, I just know and have resolve in my heart that there's something that's always happening, and it's always working itself. It may not look how you want it to look, but it's always there's always something in motion.
Yeah.
Which is why my logo actually are essentially 4 legs, and it's the same. It's like they're always in motion. And I always want to encourage that, like, no matter how if you feel discouraged, if you feel like you just can't go on, like there's always something moving. Like things are happening even behind the scenes that you may not know. And you just got to like trust the process, we're all in this together. And I think life is really funny, and it can get really discouraging at times. But as long as there's always something moving, that's, it should bring a lot of peace.
It's the journey. I feel like the journey never stops. For me, I feel like that it's been, I realized I was on a journey probably about 4.5 years ago. Obviously I was probably, I think, what the hell was I, 21, 22?
Yeah.
I broke my arm mountain biking, and like that was like the first time where I was just kind of by myself. Like everybody was going to work, stuff like that, and I was just kind of sitting by myself. But that's when I started realizing that I'm on a journey, and like breaking my arm, where I broke it, I was like, this happened for a reason.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, or what, like, I mean, I fell over a bike and broke my humerus, the thickest part of my arm. So I was just like, this happened for a reason, which just led me down this self-realization path. And it's just like, here I am now. And it's, once you realize you're on a journey, it never stops.
Yeah. It's always after, right? Like when you're like, oh, this is the reason why I went through all this. But I mean, I love it, man. I love when you could just look back and realize, oh, there was like purpose in this, and there's purpose in everything. You know, when you look at any season of your life, I mean, I could do that. I could just think about it and just say, oh, there is purpose in what I thought was a purposeless season in my life, because there's always something you can learn, you can grow in, and just to make you a better person.
What would you say the most impactful season would be?
Like being married. I think that has been probably the strongest thing for me, to build my character, to build me as a better person. And it's so funny. I tell my wife all the time, I'm like, man, when we got married, it was so fun. Like I had a blast. She's like, no, it was a nightmare. Like, cause when you're married, like I didn't live with roommates. I was, like living with my parents until I got married. And it's just the Hispanic culture. You're just like there until you get married. And whether that's 18 or 28, it's, you're welcome. But yeah, just learning how to live with each other, and learning, how to kind of, coexist with someone in a way that you guys are in it together no matter what. And I think that was probably the most challenging, but also the most fruitful season of my life. And like I said, having a kid now was, I think was awesome, because I got to learn so much about my wife, about how she operates, about how I operate, things that I need to work on. And it definitely that was probably the most impactful season.
Kind of brought the teamwork. You guys got to have fun, got to learn each other, got to experience life, and it's like now this baby's here and like we can do this.
Yeah.
Like, we
No
can focus
refunds.
on it together. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no refund.
No returns.
Where'd the name Sonny come from?
All right, this is gonna be kind of funny, but yeah. We're debating names. I originally wanted Lucas or Luca. I wanted Lucas. My wife was like, "I'll settle for Luca." I said, "Fine," but we were watching
Teamwork.
Yeah, exactly, teamwork, right? We were watching Big Daddy. That's like the Adam Sandler movie. I'm not sure if anyone's familiar, but
I'm actually really notorious for not seeing movies, but I have seen.
Oh no, yeah, it's a funny movie. It's a classic, but the Adam Sandler plays Sonny Koufax, who isn't really the Sonny Koufax. He like steals a kid. His friend goes on a trip, and this kid shows up at their doorstep, and his roommate picks up, and he's like, "Hey, this kid, saying that it's your kid. What's up?" And he was going to China to do some work, and he said, "No worries, I'll take care of this kid. When you get back, we'll get this settled. We'll get this figured out." And he brought this kid in, and he fell in love with this kid, saying, "Hey, fine, I'm Sonny Koufax, who was the guy who was on away for business," and he ends up taking him, and it's just a funny movie. And I know all the words to that movie, and I looked at Hannah, my wife, and I just said, "Hey, Sonny," and she didn't fight me for it. It's funny because there's like levels to this. You'll get these really cool names, and then you'll find the most hideous names. You'll just say just a joke around.
And something clicks.
Yeah, and then there's waves to that. But Sunny clicked and she liked it, and yeah, it felt right. So
I was wondering. I mean, it's a beautiful name for one.
Thank you. Yeah.
I was like, there's got to be a backstory.
Also sounds like a famous baseball player or something.
I could see that.
I like baseball, but maybe he can get into
follow into that.
Yeah.
You're going to be a famous baseball player one day. Did you play sports at all growing up?
I played
You
football.
probably skated and stuff like that, you said.
Yeah, I have really bad knees, so I just ride around, but I love skating. I played some football in high school. I did wrestling for 2 years, which I really, really loved, and that was probably the hardest sport I've ever tried because you're just in a room sweating and like there's no airflow. They like close the doors. It's just foggy, steamy, but
I've never done.
It's a great workout.
I've heard it's very mental, and like you got to know exactly like positional wise and stuff.
It's chess. But I loved it because I got into shape, like really good shape in high school, and I started to like shift a lot of my thinking, and I'm like, oh, if I could do this, I could figure out other things, and that helped propel me to be more of an aware as a person and like what I wanted to do, especially after high school. So yeah. What about you?
Did you sports wise?
Yeah.
I played Pop Warner football back in the day, which was like 5th, 6th grade time frame.
Yep.
And honestly, I tried out 8th grade for football, and like I got the team, but I got the schedule. And I don't know if I want to commit to this much time frame. And at the time, I honestly had like an adult like thought process about it.
Yeah.
Being in 8th grade, I was just like, I'd rather spend my time with like my friends or doing something because the chances of me going to the NFL.
You're like, this is cutting into my Saturday cartoon shows.
Yeah, or at the time was gaming. Like I was big into Modern Warfare 2 at that time frame.
Yeah.
Like that's what was going on. It's like I love my friends and spending time, and that's just who I am. It's just I love meeting people, talking to people, and spending time with people, and like that's one of the most valuable things there is that time. And I was like, if I don't take football that serious and I don't plan on actually like this is what I'm gonna do, then why am I gonna do it right now?
Yeah, and that's also too like just tying that into back to Goon for me. I love the relational aspect of Goon because someone can come in, and this isn't your typical department store or like apparel store where you just buy and then you bounce.
Yeah.
Stay a while, and that's why I have drinks. That's why I have music playing. I have like a couch, and just so people can come in knowing this is a space for you to lounge. It's a lounge, but you can also shop and you can also catch a vibe, a cool conversation. And that's something that I really want because I don't want just to be like, hey, come in, buy something, all right, peace.
Yeah,
because
thanks. Yeah.
Especially in a small town, I had this back in California, but also I really wanted this here where it's essentially church, and I think I loved being in the shop during the week versus like going to church on Sundays. Like, I'm not afraid to admit that, but it's funny because I feel like I get so much more fulfillment with these people that come and hang out, and I know about them, I know about their family, I know what they're doing. They come in.
The community aspect.
Exactly.
Of it.
So that for me is huge, man. Like, and then I can see them out in the street, and it's so fun. Like doing this podcast, talking to you, like it's a really fun aspect of Goon that I think is probably like top two.
It's an avenue for you to meet people and actually build that relationship.
Right. Yeah.
Do you want to stay just Columbia, or do you ever want to branch out? I know obviously you're new with opening Goon, but like, is that something that's crossed your mind? Maybe like branching out to Nashville or something, anything like that in the future?
Absolutely. I mean, it's so funny because, I'm sure you know this too. Like when you open something up, you so badly want to be like 5, 10, 15 steps ahead, and you already see it in your mind, and you know what that looks like. But going to small business, small business money, you got like small business problems, like you can't do that. So it's a slow build, and you're in it for the long haul, which I'm very fortunate to even have a small business. But yeah, definitely I want to expand my Goon line and have it be, taking over more categories, and then essentially, making my way up north, or, collaborating with more people and stores and brands. That's something that is definitely on my heart. But on top of all that, I do have a consulting firm under it. So if people, especially here in the Columbia area, can come in and they're small business owners and they say, oh, this is a really cool store layout. I love your social media. I love your emailers, your marketing, website. Can you help me? And that's where I can come in, even photography, studio photography, like everything that I can do, I want to give back to Columbia and offer my services to them. So they don't just come in and say, oh, this is like really cool, or this is like, out of my reach. Like, I just don't want anyone to feel intimidated in any way. And I want people to come in and say, wow, this is awesome. How can I get my business to look like this, or be, something like this or similar? That's where I can come in and offer my service to anyone who's interested, because I don't want to just be like the guy on the corner selling stuff and people looking and just, saying this is so new. Like I have weird vibes about it. I want to make sure I can invite and have it be all inclusive, where everyone is welcome, and anyone who has a small business or anyone who just wants to come and hang out, you're welcome. Like, you don't have to buy anything, just come in and hang out. And you're always welcome. The doors will not always open, but when they're open, come on in. It's all good. We'll catch a vibe. So
you said you do photography, the marketing, stuff like that. Is that alluding to, and essentially like what you said, like this entire like journey's been like you're doing all these things for different places, and it's like once you got to yours, you're like, man, all these things that I've done now I can apply to Goon.
Yeah, so when I first started, I was just working the shop, folding clothes, like talking to people. And then one day, the guy who was doing, photography, just like up and quit. And that same day, my boss, the owner, was like, "Dude, I don't have anyone to take photos." And I said, "Well, I could do it. Let me figure it out." And I know nothing about photography. I still think I don't know anything about photography. And so whenever a photographer comes in my store, I'm like, "Cool, please don't judge me because I know nothing about photography." But I've learned enough to where, wearing these hats, and then even doing like e-commerce, learning the website, you just go in and figure it out. And it's great because small businesses, you can thrive in a small business if you're willing to wear multiple hats. And that's what I did. I really wanted to learn everything, and not necessarily for a reason. I just wanted to do it. So imagine if I just had more drive to do something, I would have like done so much more. But it's just funny because now I just picked it up. I said, yeah, let's do it. I'm down. I'll just keep juggling these balls. But it all led to this. And again, when I said, looking back, I just said, oh, that's a awesome moment. I was in school essentially until graduation, which is like Goon. Yeah. So tie back to Kanye West. Yeah. But for me, that was like, oh, that's a really cool aha moment. Like, sick. I learned all those things, but it's for a reason. It's for a purpose. Even if I didn't open Goon, I feel like I could have definitely helped. And like, those are great skills to have. So I'm very thankful. Yeah. But looking back now, I just realized, oh, that was for Goon. That was for the future. Yeah. Whatever that looked like.
What's your favorite hat to wear?
So I'm very picky on everything that I do. And like even learning Photoshop and Illustrator, like I know a lot more now than when I did. I mean, obviously when I didn't.
Yeah.
But I love designing, and I love getting clothes to fit me and to fit like a way that I haven't found before. I think that is like the best part, is where you find these people that you can partner with and say, hey, I have this design. I want to make these shirts. I want to make this hat. And just seeing the fulfillment in that. I think that's the best part for me, is once you get that shipment in, you're like, cool, my stuff's here. You open it, you're just like, this has been the accumulation of months of designing, and now it's finally here. It's so fulfilling and rewarding that like after I'm like, okay, I have to shoot it, I have to edit it, I have to put it online. That's like for me, like the stuff where I'm not too stoked on, to be honest. But I think the fulfillment of all that hard work in designing and R&D is, like I guess the cherry on top for me. That's like
it's like, I mean, it is the core that is the manifestation process. I mean, like we talked a little bit about that. I don't know if that was before or earlier in this, but like, I mean, you're literally creating something in your head and like thinking about something, and then you're going through the design process, probably samples, and then actually receiving it and taking it out of the box. Like that is pure manifestation.
Yeah, and I always, with my whole little mantra is, I just always, with every collection that I make or create, I always want to look back and say, okay, how can I make this better? And how can this reach more people, versus like, I'm not trying to make something that's out of the box. That's like, yo, dude, I'm having a cropped t-shirt. Yo, guys, let's get into it. Like, show your bellies. Like, I don't want that.
You're not trying to trend set.
Exactly. Again, I'm a simple person. I wear a t-shirt, denim, Vans, unless it's summertime in Middle Tennessee, which that's insane. But I want to make things that I could just wear, and I could wear all the time, and have it be something where I look back in 10 years or 10 years in the future and it's still a vibe, where, boxy tees are cool. I can make carpenter bottoms that will last, and that'll have a really nice silhouette that could stand the test of time, so a timeless design.
I love that.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I mean, give another plug on like where you're located and stuff like that.
Yeah. So
social media, what road you're off of, and just plug it in again.
Yeah, for sure. So we're 1414 Highland Avenue in Columbia, and just inside the Arts District. And yeah, we're open pretty much every day, but Tuesday and Wednesday. Hours will definitely vary. You can sign up for an appointment. I'm very flexible because I'm either at the shop or I'm changing diapers.
Or both, maybe.
Yeah, both. If actually, my wife has like this little fabric that just ties around her chest. And I'm like, dude, I might do that.
Mobile.
Yeah. Catch me there. We're online, shopthegoon.com, and then on social media at shopthegoon. I wanted Goon, but obviously, like, there's no way you can get that username. Yeah. But come on by, catch a vibe. I would love to have just cool conversations, hang out, get to know everyone in Columbia, and I'm there, 1414.
Love it. You guys heard it. I got you this right here. You want to open her up? It's just a little one of one tee.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Make it part of the guest process.
Oh, this is huge.
Yeah. I didn't know what color wise to go with, but I just wanted to do like a brown.
Oh, this is dope. Did you make this yourself? Is this like, do you have your own screen print?
Yeah.
Oh, that's dope. That's really cool.
Just, I do these individualities with like just a single screen. Yeah. And just the way I print them, they'll come out different every time. And I do get a bigger press, and I'll do some screen printing. But I just wanted, I don't know, it was like dope. Brown. I was thinking colors. Dude,
I appreciate any gift. Yeah, this is awesome. I appreciate it, bro.
No problem. Thanks for coming on and being a guest, brother.
Thanls for having me on, for sure.
I'll have you again soon.
Definitely.
Y'all never forget, you are worthwhile, and become the best version of you.
Thank you for tuning into this week's WorthWhile Spotlight. Our goal is to motivate people to become the best version of themselves possible through the power of storytelling. Our stories are written by the things that we experienced growing up, and these experiences, negative and positive, shape who we are and what we stand for. The beautiful thing about your story is that you get to decide how it's told. So as a diamond in the rough of life, hang tight and let your light shine bright.